On my first day of acupuncture school, very first teacher, very first 15 minutes of class, spends the first little bit, tells him who he is, why he's qualified to teach the course, those type of things. But then he said three things that have stuck with me over the last 20 years, and it feels somehow appropriate to share it today. Those things were, number one, you have to be humble if you want to succeed. This is not a hold my beer and watch this type of medicine. While it certainly applies to the practice of acupuncture, it also applies to a large portion of life. So number two, you've got to become the medicine. Right? You can't be a smoker and tell your patients they need to quit smoking. You've got to propel yourself into the space of your own journey towards health and the best expression of yourself by using the tools that you're going to learn over the next handful of years in the school. Both those totally made sense. And he said, much more importantly than the first two, is you got to chop off your head. And of course, we all laughed. He said, because this medicine doesn't care what you have stuffed between your ears. It resonates out of that sacred space you hold inside of your chest. Wow, there's some ancient wisdom. We're all blown away. 15 minutes, totally tender feet in the world of acupuncture. And then here we are 20 years later, and chop off your head still comes up. Again and again. This space of the world wants us stuck between this space in between our ears. Wants us held in this area of listening to the stories, of following the narratives, of listening to what other people say about who we are. Defining what's good and what's bad and what we should and should not be doing. And yet, if we quiet this space and allow ourselves to descend just a little bit further south into this sacred space we hold inside of our chest, we can actually introduce ourselves into a person that we've always wanted to be. Who the heck are we? We're the ones that get to define that. Who are you? You get to decide who you are, not something you learned from when you were a child, or something you've learned in school, or something that the news has told you to do or not to do. It's up to the individual to figure out who they are in this sacred expression, in this sacred life that we're all existing within. Right? Don't allow other people to define us. We have to chop off the head for all of those stories and figure out what's really true for us there. One of my all-time favorite quotes comes from Lao Tzu, the guy that wrote the Tao Te Ching. When I let go of what I am, I become what I am meant to be. Right? Who the heck am I meant to be? I don't know. This whole journey in life has been sort of a hold my beer and watch this. And yet at the same time, the holding my beer is the message to the mind. It's the message to the stories that we've been told. And the watch this is saying, let's let something else drive the ship for a little bit. Let's let that sacred space down inside of us actually define who we are and get to know ourselves so that somebody else's definition of who we are or who we're supposed to be isn't actually what comes to the surface. It's the actual truth of who we are and how we're supposed to show up authentically for ourselves in this life as we have chosen to do so, not somebody else's story of what we're supposed to do. As you can probably guess, I think about this quite a lot. I spend a lot of time in contemplation. I spend a lot of time with a pen in my hand as I draw pieces of artwork. Always trying to chop off my head. Always trying to listen to the deeper space that I have inside of myself. So the light language that's being channeled today is an ask of, let's remove the story. Let's remove the narrative that the talking heads on the idiot boxes told us we're supposed to focus on. Let's remove whatever the social media that's there that's telling us to consume mindlessly as some sort of a twisted zombie apocalypse that we're all willingly participating in. What happens if we step outside of these stories that we've been told are supposed to be held true? What happens if we actually start showing up as something that's us? It doesn't have to make sense to anybody else, right? Let's not harm ourselves. Let's not harm others. But let's adventure and let's experience something that's totally different than what we've been told we're supposed to do as part of the world that we're living in. Right? When humans illuminate, when they get down into that sacred space that they hold inside of their chest, we become unstoppable. Right? The things that stop us are the stuff we have crammed between our ears. I can't do that. I shouldn't do that. I should be doing this. right? I'm a bad person because I did fill in the blank. Shame and guilt are the fastest ways to be able to control a human being. We all know that. We've all been in a space where we felt shame at some point in time or felt guilty. And it's just like getting stuck in cement, can't move anywhere. There's no way out of that. Right? The exact opposite of that, of shame and guilt, is grace and forgiveness. Forgiveness for the self, for the choices that we've made. That comes through the heart. Forgiveness for the stories that we thought we held as true and turns out that they actually caused harm. Most of us don't have malicious intent on a regular basis, right? If we do, well, there's our own little versions of story and consequences that come back towards us. But the essence of being human is to be our most authentic self. And from what I've read, I haven't done the research myself, that's actually the highest vibrational frequency a human can experience, is just embracing their own authenticity. It's not love, it's not compassion, right? It's not grace, it's not forgiveness, it's authenticity. So collectively, let's chop off our heads and let's be authentically who we are, who our soul wants us to be, how it wants to express itself in this world as all of the structures are collapsing around us, as all the stories we used to hold true are starting to fall apart. And the ego goes, holy cow, what do I identify myself with now? And all of a sudden, we identify ourselves with us, with our own internal structures, with our own internal knowing of the things that don't make sense between the ears but make complete sense within that sacred space. English is going away, so here comes the light language. Please, let's chop off our head and let's listen to that sacred space you hold inside of your chest. Allow it to illuminate brilliantly so that it can shine in ways you never thought possible, to move you forward in the world in a way that may be scary as hell. But that's what leaps of faith are. The universe says, take the jump, I'll catch you. And you're going, yeah, but what are you going to catch me with? Just jump. Just move. Just do something different. Just get out of your head and take the step. Take the leap. That's what this whole YouTube channel is for me. Right? I've been doing light language for years, and I've shared it through my art. That's safe, right? You like it, you don't like it, great. It's in front of it. I'm behind the camera. It doesn't matter. Here's the little light language that comes out of my pen all the time. Right? And here we are talking almost face to face and trying to be able to communicate and share something that my soul knows that it tells me is important for other people to know. So we're chopping off my own head, and I'm letting that sacred space to be able to resonate. Thank you for joining me as a part of this. The English is gone. So here goes the next piece. Shimuraka shiniti mahaite rakamoto kaisi di tidnamhota di shinata. Kamaraka tomo di shinata krakamohota katate. Kamaraka tomoro shinini romodokotai shinikatamaroko honi shineta kamaita. Kamaita komoroko shiriti lini de morokomoho siri sha kamata kata. Kamarakata shinamokotai shinini de marakata ramarakata. Kamarakata shinimarokoti shinita kamota rakatamahaita. Kama sirita moda shiniti jumorokoto homorokota kamontokaite shinita mata ketangaka. Kamarakata shinita moho ti shiniri mohaite de shinata dini makata ratata. Tamarata namor shinita marakata marakata shinamor barakama kata 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 kamokota sikate moko. Kurumurokoto shini ha mohaite shiniti yawishimara terramarakata mohaitiata. Kamishiwa ni ramorokoto mo sirise marakata inishina takamoko katetikataka. Kamarakata morokoto shinita kamokota shimarta makataka ramarakata shinita tamaratishina tamarakaina moka te shinita. Kamarako shinita mokoitaka kishninya hata. Tishnehata mohota katishiti kamaratakaite. Tekaite. Shumuroko te shinini na marakoto mohoroko taramata katania tamokatate. Dashini to mohota ninya oshimohate. Kamarako koshini tapa. Kamakata tamohoshi shishana komota kateta. Kamarakata moroko te shini tishnamakata morokova. I hope you enjoyed today's transmission. Please like and share. And make it a beautiful day as you illuminate the path that you choose to walk upon. Be well, my friends.